Hi guys, welcome back to We Should Talk, a pop culture interview series from In the Know. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and this week on the podcast, we have Whitney Rose from The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, also the founder of Wild Rose Beauty. You know, I think Whitney's having an incredible second season on the show. I think that she has completely leveled up in terms of her confessionals, her looks, her getting into the action. I told her that, and she kind of explained why that is. And, you know, I think what's great about her is that she just isn't afraid to not only say what she's thinking now and sort of say what's on her mind, but also she, I think more than a lot of other housewives, has her alerts up in terms of like, okay, what's phony, what's feeling a little off. And that comes up particularly when, you know, there's been accusations that Lisa, who she's feuding with, kind of self-producing a lot this season, and she had some stuff to say about that. Also her feud with Mary that came out of nowhere, and of course the Jen Shah of it all. Disclaimer, we recorded this interview a couple of days before this most recent episode of Salt Lake City, so before that banner episode that Andy Cohen had said is one of the best he's ever seen of Housewives ever. Neither of us had seen that episode yet, so you know, keep that in mind as you're listening, but she still had some incredible insights when it came to all facets of things that she's involved in on the show. And again, I think that van ride is just there's so many layers there and there's so much to unpack, and we tried to do some of that, and then she teased what's to come. I mean, I think we're not even halfway through this season, so buckle up, guys. I'm going to stop talking. I think obviously you all just want to get to the interview, but please tune into The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Sundays at 9 p.m. Please check out the Wild Rose Beauty at the Wild Rose Beauty on Instagram, and rate, review, and subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Enjoy the interview. All right, so we are here with Whitney Rose from The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, also the co-founder of Wild Rose Beauty. Whitney, how are you?
I'm doing so well, Gibson. How are you?
I am good. I am really excited to get some time with you. We were just talking before we started recording, and there's just a lot going on in the world of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City right now. How are you feeling now that we're really in the thick of it right now?
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot, even though I've already lived it. Reliving it and anticipating the episode coming out Sunday is like its own level of anxiety, PTSD, trauma. I mean, I just think about it and I get the chills all over again.
Oh my God. I mean, and so just disclaimer for everyone watching and listening, we're recording this before this Sunday's episode, and it will come out. This interview is going to come out a couple of days after. So neither of us have seen the episode that Andy Cohen has called one of the best Housewives episodes of all time. Like that's a high level to kind of live up to.
It is. Andy doesn't just throw around things like that.
No.
Like, it takes a lot to spark his interest. And for him to say that means like the world to me. And I'm just so grateful that I got to be a part of it. As crazy as it was. And I never thought I'd live to see the day that the feds would storm my party bus on the way to a girls' trip.
I mean, it's literally the most surreal. It's almost like Mad Libs. You know what I mean? It's almost like you really can't make this up. Like it was wild to watch, and I'm sure even more wild to experience it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's just no words. We'll just have to wait and see.
No words. How closely do you, I mean, before we kind of backtrack, but how closely do you sort of monitor what the fans are saying, what the commentary is? Because right now, I mean, like even just the last 10 minutes of that last episode, when we see Jen on the van, then she gets off and leaves, and then the feds show up, like that 10 minutes has been picked apart by all of us online. And it's because there's so much to unpack, but how much do you pay attention to that?
You know, it just kind of depends. I do read through everything and kind of, so I have like the baseline of it.
Sure.
But sometimes it's hard when comments aren't in your favor and people are tearing me apart, So I try to like just skim through it and get the gist, but there is a lot there.
There's a lot.
Yeah, and fans are smart.
Fans are smart. Truly. So before we get too far into it, I mean, I do have to say, like, I feel like coming into this second season, I feel like you have leveled up your Housewives game. You know, not to say nothing, you were great your first season. I loved all you guys your first season, but I feel like this second season for you, it's been like you've loved, like, kind of gone up 5 notches. Like the looks are amazing. I feel like your confessionals are so on point. Like I feel like you're having a really, really great season. Did you have any sort of change in mentality between seasons, or did you learn something from your first season that kind of stuck with you as you went into filming for this season?
Yes. First season was hard because I was the underdog. I was the young one. No one, whether they admit it or not, no one wanted me there. I think it was like a little bit of a threat that this younger
Aw.
housewife is coming in. And I'm nice. I'm a really nice person. And I was always trying to be nice. And this season, I'm still nice, but I watched myself season 1 and I was like, you need to speak up. You need to, like, what's going through your head. I need to have the
Verbalize it. Right.
verbally.
Exactly.
And it was hard at first, but I really gained that confidence season 1. So season 2, I was like, I'm not going to hold back.
Good. And I think people are really liking it. And I feel like, what about for Confessional specifically? Did you sort of like feel like, okay, I need to kind of, I guess, verbalize even more in those moments, like where it's just you and the camera?
Yeah. Confessionals are like your safe zone, right?
Right.
No one else is there. You can say what you really feel. You can have fun with it. I feel like my confessional season 1 were kind of the same. I was cheeky and would poke fun at things, but I think it's just a great time to use humor and sarcasm.
Absolutely.
And call it out, because it gets really hard to always call people out to their face in scene, especially this season. I feel like I had a lot of moments of like calling stuff out. So interviews are where I can really do it. If that makes sense.
Definitely. And I feel like also for you this season, there have been a couple really heated, I mean, when you have those like really heated, arguments, either like at a group dinner or even one-on-one, like, I feel like some of the stuff comes to you later, or like you're so in the moment that you don't have that like foresight to add some of that commentary. So I feel like that is what the Confessionals gave you. And so like, for example, watching you and Mary go at it at the cooking class or her lunch or whatever that was, like, I feel like so much of what's going through your mind probably in that moment that like, okay, let me take a step back and really analyze this. And I think like it came across.
Yeah, I was stunned. That came out of nowhere to me. I was truly shocked.
Yeah.
So the emotions were high because, 1, I really thought she was my friend. And 2, am emotional because I've taken so much from her, as I shared in my confessional. And I felt like there was moments where I was the only one standing up for her last season. And so it shocked me.
So when you read those text messages, like those are pretty shocking text messages that you've gotten from her. Were those all in that one moment when like you hadn't answered your phone for 2 hours and then she went off on you, or were that a collective kind of
it was a collective of all around that time frame. That whole situation, hindsight, now that I take a step back, Mary started being upset with me, I think season 1, when I said, because those text messages really started after the luncheon season 1, like full circle moment, in my interview, when I said, yeah, Mary, I'm only 30 and you're all old at AF acting like you're 10. That's when I think the first seed was planted of her like festering something with me. And then the tubing day when she got the limo bus, the Hummer.
Right. The Hummer limo, right.
She wanted to do that, but we couldn't. It's really hard with COVID. We have a lot of restrictions and a lot of regulations. We have to follow protocol. Anyone that's around us has to test negative 24 hours before. So for her to throw that party bus, it was like a bit of a stretch. And I was so thankful, but she didn't want me to thank her. And I kept telling everyone, Mary got this, because I'm not going to take credit for a gift that I didn't purchase.
Sure.
And that's what really upset her. And then if you fast forward to the lunch with me, Heather, and Mary, you notice that she only is speaking to Heather. If you go back,
I didn't pick up on that.
Lunch, it's like I am sitting with a ghost and Mary's only acknowledging Heather.
Wild.
So I knew she was upset with me, mad at me, whatever. But yeah, the luncheon.
But yeah, it's almost like it's almost like it's being blamed on you not answering your phone. But there's more behind that than she's maybe letting on.
There absolutely is, because I called her back a couple hours later.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, because for her, she's saying it was over a day, and you're like, no, it was literally a couple hours. So
yeah. And there was text messages immediately. Like, I'll call you back.
Well, I think that you walked into that situation, kind of knowing a little bit what was up, like in terms of like with the invitation. And I think that it seemed like you kind of saw some of that writing on the wall. And I think that you went in with the right approach and headspace, I'm going to say, even though it was obviously a lot in the moment, but I feel like you primed yourself well.
Yeah. I anticipated a confrontation. I just didn't anticipate it to be the level it was.
Sure.
But yeah, absolutely. Like, I knew, and part of me was like, I do have a mafia girl costume. I could throw it on, but I wanted to stand up for myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that kind of is emblematic of your whole second season. I think that's the Whitney we're seeing. And I'm curious, I mean, like, again, as a viewer, it's so hard to really get a feel, but I feel like it's tough to really parse through that situation with Mary in particular, because it's like, you really never know what you're going to get from Mary. And I'm curious, in your words, what it's like, quote unquote, feuding with her or arguing with her. Like, what does go through your mind in that moment? Because it's almost like, I don't know, I feel like it's probably hard to process.
It is literally one of the worst things. And I think that this is why I always danced around it. And I think a lot of my other friends and castmates dance around Mary too, because it is terrifying, because she does go below the belt and she says things that are, they like, words hurt you. And
right.
she uses a little bit of like fear to keep people down,
At bay,
and
yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard for me because there's so much out there online, so many rumors about her and about her church. And I mean, just this last episode, her family, they're upset with me. I've hurt all of their feelings. And so it's scary because I don't know if rumors are true or not.
Yeah.
Like,
and her family and the church are so intertwined. Yeah.
Yes. And am I putting myself in a bad situation where there's potential, I just don't know I don't know. Yeah. It's the hardest situation because some days Mary is so fun and endearing. Some days she's insightful and deep and thoughtful, and you get that pastor Mary, preacher Mary. And then some days you're like, you are not a woman of God. You are so mean.
Yeah, it's
not woman of God. You're not acting like.
Sure. Yeah, your behavior. Right, like, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
And this is just the beginning.
Yeah. I kind of sense that. Yeah, I kind of sense that. Because I feel like the focus is shifting a little bit right now in the season. So I'm curious how much it's going to loop back to the Mary of it all with her church. We're going to pick that right back up.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to avoid after this. But back to like the me not answering your phone thing, the thing that like hurts me the most is that Mary doesn't accept the fact that I'm busy. Like, I have 2 young kids. I'm a hands-on mom. Like, I do everything that I can because I don't want my kids to be raised by their nanny.
Right.
And like, I really honor that time with my children. I run a business. I'm filming a reality TV show. Plus I have a husband who's like just as needy as my kids. So, I mean, it really kind of,
yeah.
And I'm not in her situation where she just is alone all day. So it's impossible for me to always answer everyone's call the first time.
I mean, yeah, it's like, welcome to like, that's a very normal thing to not answer your phone, the first time somebody calls. It's a very normal thing.
Like,
welcome You're not going to crazy. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It just bothers me that she doesn't afford me that respect.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And, I think one thing I love about what you and Heather have done this season is you sort of have reclaimed the bad weather nickname that you got from Lisa. And I kind of think that you could do the same with little girl. Like, and just like, I know in the moment it was, you don't want to hear that, but like, it's almost like you just have to like, all right, if you want to call me that, like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Just wait for reunion. I'm going to be passing out a few gifts.
Oh, wow. Some goodie bags, maybe. Okay.
Oh yeah. It's going to be hilarious. Cause I'm running with it. Yeah.
Okay, good. I think that's the way to own it. So, I think on this first part of the season, a huge thing for you has been you and Lisa, and just continuation of sort of that explosive reunion that you guys had. And you know, I don't know. I'm curious for you, just like, and clearly it's still going between you guys. In your words, what is her problem with you and what is your problem with her? Because I feel like we're almost like so far removed from whatever happened between you guys initially, that's almost hard to be like, okay, wait, what's the deal?
Honestly, I don't have a problem with her. I would say my only problem with her is that she has such a deep problem with me.
Which
I
is
actually I just think she's threatened and insecure. I
okay.
think that I embody or represent her worst nightmare because I was the younger woman coming into because truly before I even met her, she had a lot to say about me. And I was like so excited to meet her. And from the moment I came into this circle, she tried to get me out of it. And so I don't know. She'll always say she doesn't have a problem with me, but she does. I think it's just her own insecurities.
Yeah. Interesting. So it's really not, I mean, it seems to be kind of a common thread with Mary. It's like, it's not really like based on anything really substantial almost.
Well, with Mary, it's because I stopped listening to her.
Sure.
I started standing up for myself and having an opinion, which I get. I know that's sad. That's a complicated and complex dynamic between Mary and I, but she really was kind of my leader, my mentor, she helped me with my father. So I always followed her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah. But with Lisa, the only thing that she really didn't like about me was the way I dressed. She thought I was trashy because I would wear clubbing clothes in a club. Like, these are kind of the things that I know that she's screenshotted from my Instagram and passed around. Like, she always docked my style, docked my age difference with my husband, just docked everything physical about me, outward physical presence. So it tells me that because I've never done anything to Lisa, and she can't look at me in the eyes and say, this is why I don't like you. Cause I've never done anything to her behind her back.
Yeah. So she's latching on to really surface level things in your way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it just really tells me it's an insecurity that she's projecting and gaslighting onto me.
And then, you accuse her of obviously sort of like setting up the whole Angie thing with the caterer and the dinner and the couple's dinner, and sort of blew her spot there. And then I also saw some commentary online about the moment between Meredith and Cameron and sort of whether that was sort of set up to sort of heavy-handedly. What do you think about that? Do you think that those two moments tied together in terms of like, is she trying to sort of control the narrative too much? And in your words, sort of, what does that look like for you?
Well, that's a pattern. That's a pattern. And it's absolutely poor self-producing, like trying to control the narrative.
And you said on Watch What Happens Live that you think that she invited you to that Fresh Wolf party so that you could be the person to talk to Cameron. Why do you think that? And do you still think that? And why did you say that?
First of all, I have never met Henry and Jack.
Okay.
Like, why would they invite me if they really controlled their invite list? Why would they invite me? Two, like, Jen showed up at the Fresh Wolf photo shoot. So it was twofold. She was trying to sling mud at Jen and I's relationship to cause a fire there. And then plant Cameron. I think that her intention was to have Cameron say to Meredith what he said, or say to me what he said to Meredith. Because you were having trouble with Mary? Yeah, I think she saw like tubing day, that like the sliver.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there was tension building between Mary and I, because I stopped.
We just went through that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so you think it foiled the plan when you didn't show up to that event?
With Lisa?
Yeah. Like when you didn't come to the Fresh Wolf event, it didn't go the way that perhaps you, like in your mind, how she wanted it to go. Yeah.
I threw a wrench in the plan by having a cold.
Got it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
But she
Yeah.
still got it out there. Like
Yeah.
Meredith, and here's the thing with Mary is I would, honest hand to whatever you believe in, I would have never talked about Mary. I would have never brought it up, but Meredith dropped that bomb to me. I was trying to leave.
Right. Yeah.
I was trying to be like,
You guys
I'm out
sat
of here.
down. Sure.
Yeah. And Meredith convinced me to stay. And then she drops the whole Cameron bomb. And that's when I was like, what? So again, so Lisa's plan still worked.
Yeah. I think, and you said we're going to continue to kind of follow that storyline as well. So I'm really curious to see where it goes.
It's insane.
All right. So, this episode that neither of us has seen, it's going to follow, I think Andy has said it's like a 12-hour span of you guys just in that van and just, it happens in real time, really. It's like, I feel like, well, that's what we're going to see. Even just watching the clips that have come out of that episode and of the last episode, is this moment even more surreal to watch back than others? Like as somebody again who was there, and this happened, back in March, so it's been a while, but what's it like to watch that back? What goes through your mind? And it must be sort of like an out-of-body experience.
It is very much an out-of-body experience. I kind of go numb a little bit because in that moment you'll see like we're just trying to figure out what's going on.
Right.
Is someone after Jen, or is she in trouble? Did she do something? It was like given this much information, but your mind wanders to any possibility out there.
Yeah.
Like anything and everything is possible at this point. Right.
Because no news had come out yet. It had just been. No news had
come out yet. And then
you guys were connecting the dots.
Yes. And, we're trying to fill in the lines with no information. And then once she went to the courthouse and they released the indictment, then people started messaging it to it. Like I had probably 100 people send it to me within a minute.
Surreal. Yeah. I feel like, in that first, couple of minutes that have been released of that episode, you guys are doing a pretty good job of piecing it together. I feel like you guys almost it's only 4 of you on that van. And, Lisa has you and Heather are both sort of feuding with Lisa. But I feel like you guys sort of checked that at the door, at least temporarily, as you guys all sort of parse through all this information and what have you heard? What have you heard? You guys are doing a pretty good job of piecing together sort of what direction this might be going in.
Yeah. And especially listening to Lisa call all of her attorneys and listening to those conversations, I felt like Lisa knows more than she's leading on to, because I think that she understood the magnitude of the potential problem.
Right. Do you still feel like that? Do you still feel like she sort of maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's no slam to her, because in that moment, I just think that she's very close to Jen.
Right. For sure.
And I think, she knows the most, but what was interesting is Lisa and I had like a trauma bond. Right. It was like, okay, all of our crap, just like it's gone. And we had in that moment, like a trauma bond of like, no, we're fine. Like a caterer.
That's what it seemed.
Cater, federal indictment, we're fine.
Right. Like, and it's almost like you both almost just snapped out of it. And you were like, okay, like alerts on, like it's very interesting to watch it. I think there's so many layers to it, but I think it's sort of nice that you guys could leave your quote unquote bad blood, away for at least momentarily, I
agree, because it's exhausting.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously it's going to be a lot going forward, and, we also are going to see the Mary of it all. And I'm sure some other things are going to be happening as well as we go forward in this season. But, what can we expect from you when it comes to Jen? Because I know I think I saw like a selfie of you, Heather, and Jen, I think maybe filming something like later in the season. So how do you, again, I'm sure it's really difficult because it's like she's been accused of like really horrible things and charged with really horrible crimes, but you're also, in this group together. And, it seems like Heather kind of gives her another chance at their friendship. So how for you personally did you approach that when it comes to Jen?
Well, for a minute there, I was all over the place. You'll see me kind of go full circle of how am I going to show up for her? Because to be honest, Jen and I didn't have a relationship at all until this season. She was awful to me first season. I mean, she threatened to drown me like behind my house.
Whew. She sure did.
And, but season 2, we did start off okay. And we were starting to build on our friendship. And for me, what you can expect is it takes me a minute to decide how I'm going to show up for her. But I decided I'm going to show up as Whitney Rose, and I'm just going to keep the peace, because there's no point for me to condemn her, chastise her, judge her until we know. Her trial's in March, starts in March. And once we get more information, then I can really, and that I think that'll better inform how I want to move forward. But for the rest of the season, there's no reason for me to be mean to her.
Right. It's not your fight to fight necessarily.
No, it's not my fight to fight. And to be honest with Jen, it's just easier to keep the peace. And I was already feuding with Lisa and Mary, and Jen surprisingly was like just a fun, like I think because she had to keep herself guarded and protected.
Yeah.
She showed more peaceful and more Zen Jen. And
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see, because I do not like the charges against her. I think that they're pretty awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I feel like the worry must be that it's like, okay, you want to just play peacemaker and just sort of not ruffle the feathers, but also like, if down the line a conviction comes, it's like, there's an you must worry about an association of some sort.
Oh yeah. Of course. I don't want anyone to think I condone that kind of behavior. And I don't condone that at all. I mean, but it's also in the United States. It's like, we don't know, like she has the right to a fair trial, and we just have to wait and see. I mean, it's hard not to pre-assume and prejudge and
of course,
but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a hard moment to be like, I was okay with you, but now I'm not. That's going to be a hard.
Right. But I think, she, not to speak for her, but, you, if you're in that situation and you have to sort of understand that the people around you, I think it's actually great that you're not making a snap judgment. You know what I mean? I think it shows your character that you're, nothing's been proven necessarily. So, I think, it's a really tough line for you to walk, and I don't envy your position.
But until we know, I'm just going to meet Jen where she meets me.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's totally fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another big part of your personal narrative this season is the rebranding of your whole business. And we get into Wild Rose Beauty, and which we see right here. I love it. I want to try it. Talk to me about, what's the idea behind the rebrand in terms of like, is it, let's capitalize on this big platform that I have now and really kind of embrace that and kind of inject, you more into it, or talk to me about that. I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but I'm curious.
Yeah, no, it's twofold. I started my skincare company 5 years ago this month.
Wow.
Iris and
congrats. That's a long time to be in business. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been quite the process. I started concepting the products 5 years ago. So, really it came down to, I had a business partner, and, the last year we sustained like huge, we grew. The last 2 years, we really grew, and we had some big opportunities that uncovered big problems in our partnership. He was a great partner, a great guy, but there was just things that it just didn't work out. So I bought him out, and I was ready to do it on my own. I felt like kind of much like my season 2 storyline. I'm like, I don't need anyone. I have everything I need. Like, I'm enough. I got this. I'm smart.
And that's an awesome realization. And that's not an easy thing to come to terms with, honestly, sometimes for people. And I think that's cool that you made that decision. Yeah.
I finally broke through that like self-doubt, that limited belief that I needed a partner. And I am the Wild Rose. I mean, I've coined myself that since I've married Justin. And this is a much stronger branding opportunity for me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really want to move into other beauty verticals. So it takes me out of the skincare into Wild Rose Beauty, where eventually I can do other types of products.
Yeah, totally. And so right now it's just skincare. But I think that what I love about it is that it's all about sort of the essential nutrients that people actually literally need for their skin. And I think the beauty industry right now is like, so there's so much going on, but it's a lot of, I feel like it's a lot of like, just sort of like, it's the branding, it's the surface. But I think for you to be about that, the nutrients and like really about like what the benefits for your skin, I think that's a really smart angle to take on it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that because that's been my entire skincare journey. My dad had an aesthetic school, so I've grown up around aesthetics, skincare, facials, all of it. But I have hard skin to treat. I'm sensitive. I have eczema. I have melasma. All of the hardest.
I have eczema as well.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna send you a kit.
I love it. Yeah, it's a tough battle to fight. I mean, it was horrible growing up. It's better now, but it's hard.
Yeah. And it's so hard. And what I really learned and started watching the things that changed my skin, it was vitamins and nutrients, not only like ingesting them, but applying them topically. So my philosophy is on anti-aging through the proper nutrition and hydration. Because if you feed your skin, it will grow, it'll rebuild, it'll change, and cells will turn over faster. But if you constantly put on harsh chemicals, fillers, it's going to deplete your skin and it's not going to repair. Sure, it'll bleach it out and you'll look nice for a minute, but in the long run, you're not getting anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, again, this whole rebrand for you, to me, just like, it just opens up so many doors for where you can go with it. And I think that's really exciting. And again, I think capitalizing on the way that your life has changed over the past 2 years, I think is really smart. And I think, you must feel as though it's only up from here. You know what I mean?
Oh yes, absolutely. The second we launched on November 1st, and Iris and Bo turned off, even just that week and a half ago, everything has changed. I can't even tell you, there's just a new energy shift, a new vibe. And it's because I'm standing in my power. And my brand is amazing. And people, the more hands we get it in, like the more lives we're helping. And it's amazing and beautiful. And I just want everyone to glow.
Yeah, I love that. And I know that Bravo just recently, announced that they're going to do a Bravo Bazaar online with some like live shopping opportunities for Bravo celebrities. And I think that includes you. What do you know about that and sort of when that might happen?
Yeah. So NBCU created their own e-commerce platform. It launched on the 9th, which was 2 days ago. And it's called Virtual Bazaar. So you actually go into all parts of the home and you can shop brands. So you can fashion. I'm their exclusive skincare line right now. And in fact, I'll send you the link. It's really cool. It's like a 3D virtual experience where you can shop product as if you're in the home. Another really cool thing that I'm doing is on the 27th, I'm doing a live selling show with Remy Bader and Reza Farhan.
We love Remy at In the Know. We love Remy. She's amazing.
Yeah, Remy it's going to be so much fun. She's an incredible host too.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. And so I'm going to New York. So I'll be live with her and we're doing a live selling for Small Business Saturday, a live selling show, kind of like NBC hates when I say this, but people get it when I say like QVC, HSN.
Sure. Yeah. It's that same sort of format, but with the Bravo kind of injected in there. Yeah, with the Bravo flair, and it's elevated and it's going to be incredible. And I'm honored to be the first one to do it. So that's awesome. I mean, that's like that shows how much promise that you and the brand have. I think it's for you to be there because you aren't the only housewife of the skincare line. So it's like for you to, you know what I mean? I'm not the only housewife of the skincare line, and I'm a new housewife. So I'm a newer housewife. So it means the world to me. It just shows that they believe in me and that I am doing something that makes a difference. Yeah. And it's fun. They're calling it the Bravo Bazaar because, I guess so there's only been one BravoCon so far, but I was there and they had an in-person Bravo Bazaar where they there was like a Loverboy stand and Jill Zarin had her rugs there and Dorinda had some merch there. So it's sort of like a virtual version of that, but updated with all the new people. And I think it's awesome. I think fans of these shows really like to support you guys. And I think that they like to, especially when you're kind of placing it on the show and kind of walking us through that journey with you, to be able to kind of bring it full circle and test out the products and shop for the products. I think it's part of the experience of being a Bravo fan.
Absolutely. And it's like one of my most favorite things about being in the Bravo family. Are the fans. Like the support and love is unlike
I'm so glad
I've experienced. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you feel that, because I feel like, I mean, I'm in that world, and sometimes being in that, it can feel like it gets too negative, but I'm glad that the positive gets through to you as well, because there's a lot of noise. And so to feel that support, I think, is important.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on not paying attention to the negative, because there's way more love.
Yeah, I think so too. It's the loud negativity that gets hard to ignore sometimes.
Yeah, especially Twitter is a hard place to be.
Yeah, I mean, I've turned off like most notifications on. I'll send it out now, or not see what people say back to it, because it gets too. People get heated over the smallest things, you know. I mean, you know that, I'm sure. Like, it's crazy.
It is. It's nuts, but it's part of the job. And
exactly, it comes with the territory.
In a weird way, it's like one week someone will hate me, the next week they'll love me. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. I guess it just depends on what we're watching. But
totally. Well, Whitney, it's been so fun.
The other cool thing about MPCU, the e-commerce platform, is that all content is shoppable. So you're going to be able to shop on Xfinity, Peacock.
Very cool. It's all Facebook, integrated.
Instagram. Yeah, it's all integrated. So eventually during the episode, you'll be able to buy your Bravo Celebrity stuff.
That's wild. Wild Rose.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, Whitney, it's been so fun to get some time with you. What can we, again, I don't even think we're at the halfway point on this season, and so much is happening. What can you just tease for me? Because there's a lot to tease, I'm sure. But what can the fans expect? Because again, people are foaming at the mouth for Salt Lake City right now.
Listen, I think that right when you think you have it figured out, will surprise you.
All right.
This season, I just got the chills. I mean, there's so much that we still are interviewing on. Like, it is an incredible season, so many twists and turns. So it's not just the Jen stuff. It's not just the Mary stuff. There's another big shocking moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to savor every moment of this season. It feels like a special year for you guys.
I'll give you a little tease. Pay attention to what Lisa says on the bus when she covers her mouth.
Okay. I'm covering my mouth now in anticipation. Well, Whitney, thank you so much. And where can people kind of find out more about Wild Rose Beauty? Do your plugs before we sign off.
Yeah, so you can find all my skincare at wildrosebeauty.com. At the Wild Rose Beauty is the Instagram, or you can come to me, my personal page, Whitney Wild Rose. But the handle is the Wild Rose Beauty, wildrosebeauty.com.
Awesome. All right, Whitney, thank you so much. And I'm excited for the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. For more celebrity interviews, subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you heard, please rate and review us, as any show of support you can give us would be greatly appreciated. You can follow me at Gibsonoma on Twitter and Instagram, and you can follow In The Know at In The Know on Twitter and at Watch In The Know on Instagram. We'll talk to you next time.